Sean McCandless here. I'm here with the oral history of Bruce Wood. It's May 29th, Memorial Day, 2017. Yeah. I'm just going to leave it right there.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Wood, when were you born?
February 7th.
Which year?
No, wait a minute.
Yeah, February 7th, 1932.
32, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Wood, Mr. Wood, where were you born?
I was born in Oakland, California.
Oakland, California?
Yeah.
Okay. And your mother and father, any brothers and sisters?
Mother and father, and they were, well, let's see, what do you call?
They were divorced, but
Yeah.
so your mother raised you, and then you have a sister.
Yeah, this is my mother here.
Yeah, what memories do you have growing up in Oakland?
In Oakland, not too many. Not too many. We stayed there until, well, actually we moved to Berkeley, and then we moved into, out in Walnut Creek, I guess it was.
No, Berkeley was the very important part of his life because that's where he met me.
Yes, anything further? No.
Yeah. We were there in the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, and then he went back to Sacramento.
Okay.
That's where he was really spent most of his
Yeah.
years.
And that's all in this book here.
Okay.
Well, everything that's there. Where I was raised, and who with, etc. like that.
Great. Okay. Well, so so you moved from Oakland to Berkeley,
Berkeley,
and you went to elementary school in Berkeley, California.
Berkeley, right.
And that's where you met your wife, Pat.
Pat, right.
So you both went to elementary school together?
4th, 5th, and 6th grade at St. Mary Magdalene's
Okay.
School of the Madeleine.
And then your family moved to Sacramento.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And so, do you remember why you moved to Sacramento, or what you were doing there?
In Sacramento, I was going to school.
Okay.
I was going to school, Christian Brothers High School. That's in here too, the pictures, etc. of that group, etc. like that.
Very nice. Is that when you were you playing varsity baseball in that high school?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you first start playing baseball?
I started playing baseball. Well, let's see. It was this age right here. I was on the top right one there.
Wow, you look about maybe 9 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And here you are at Christian Brothers High School in Sacramento. Not a big high school.
No, it was only about let's see, what was it? It was all boys school.
All boys school.
Yeah, all boys school. And actually, our grade was approximately 70.
70 students.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the baseball team was drawn from that 70, huh?
70, yeah. Yeah, that was for the high school team, yeah.
Okay. Do you have any memories about some coaches that you had growing up in Little League?
Yeah, it was Jack Buick was one.
Hmm.
He was our coach mainly in high school.
Okay.
From the 9th grade on up.
Okay.
And he was about the only one that we had at the time. And then of course, we graduated from there and went on to college, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, and did he teach you? What do you remember about how he taught you baseball? Was it more fundamentals? Was it more inspirational speeches? What kind of a personality did Mr. Buick have? Coach Buick.
Mr. Buick was an individual that kind of strong, but still, again, he played around with us a little bit. But, then again, he went to St. Mary's later on after we left him there. But he did a nice job with us. We won a couple of our titles at the school.
Oh wow!
With the other schools there. Clatchy was one, and Sacramento High was another.
Okay.
Things like that.
So you guys won several championships.
Yeah.
With the team, that's great.
Yeah.
How about Little League? To go backwards a little bit, do you remember any coaches from Little League that were particular?
Our Little League here?
No, from when you were a player.
No, I didn't play Little League.
Oh.
No.
He was recovering from polio.
Polio.
So he didn't play that young.
Okay.
But we had our team at that time, and it was oh gosh, it was a functional, nice, good ball club. You know,
Yeah.
we had a good ball club.
Okay.
Some of us went on to college later.
Well, that's great. What would you mind talking about that before we go too fast into your career at Fresno State and playing baseball, which I'm very looking forward to hearing. So you had polio when you were a younger
Yes.
boy?
Yeah. Very young though. I was about 6, wasn't I? 7.
5 or 6.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Okay.
So I didn't have it, and then I came back from it
Nice.
and was able to play.
Great. So that now you're saying you didn't play Little League, but you were playing what, neighborhood baseball or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Just with friends in the area.
That's right. Yeah.
Like disorganized, but still learning the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So was this team at Christian Brothers High School? Was that your first organized team?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Ah. So when did you become a pitcher?
Actually, I became a pitcher when I was in the 9th grade.
Okay.
In the 9th grade.
It's the very first year.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
And I did some of it in my minor league, like the 9th grade, etc., like that.
Okay.
And it carried me through until actually leaving high school, and then up until I went to college.
Okay. Did you ever think about playing any other positions, or was it always pitcher?
Well, I pitched and played third and outfield.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I wasn't pitching, they would put me in the outfield or third base.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right.
You had to play someplace.
Right. There weren't too many players.
No, that's right. That's right.
How about your hitting? Did you enjoy hitting?
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed hitting. Luckily for pitching, I was a fairly good hitter, so I was in the lineup most of the time.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, so any other memories from high school living in Sacramento at that time? Any friends or teachers that you remember?
Well, the all-star team that I was in at high school.
Yes.
And then in Sacramento, always had a high school all-star team, and it used to be held at Edmonds Field, which was baseball, like the Oakland team has now.
Okay.
And that was interesting. That was something that they would take throughout the county and get people lined up for that, and we'd go out and play that. If you were selected, you'd had to be selected to get into that.
Oh.
And luckily, I was, and it was a good experience. Let's put it that way.
Mm.
And some fellows that I didn't happen to make the team on it, but other people did throughout the county. So it was good. It was good education.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so after that, your experience with Christian Brothers High School, you guys won some championships. Sounds like you were selected to an all-star team.
Right.
And you went from a guy who was just playing with friends to being a pitcher.
Right.
In a major team like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So how did you? So after you graduated, what did you do?
From high school.
That's right.
High school, I went on to Fresno State. And then went up there and played up there.
Great.
For about 2 or 3 years. 2 years, I believe it was. 2 years.
Okay.
And that brought me into. Well, I then had arm problems, and then I left there when I was a junior. As far as the baseball.
Okay. So you went to Fresno State to play baseball?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you had arm problems.
Yeah, I had arm trouble.
So what happened to, was it your shoulder, your elbow?
Shoulder, yeah.
Mm.
I had pitched quite a bit through high school, different leagues, lower leagues in high school, and I pitched quite a bit. So I was ready to sit down.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was after 2 or 3 years at Fresno State?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Did you stay at Fresno State to finish studying, or what did you do after?
No, I stayed there. Yeah,
Great.
I stayed there. Yeah.
What did you study at Fresno State?
I was agriculture.
Okay.
Agriculture, yeah.
Okay.
I was an ag major.
What did that entail?
That and did detail. Let's see, sports,
Yeah.
and then also included. Well, let's say I was an ag major,
Mm-hmm.
so that included things of nature as far as. Well, let's see, what were they? Corn. Corn.
Yeah.
And beef cattle,
Oh.
things of that nature. Different things in the animal husbandry.
Yeah. Was it your intention to become a farmer?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But then I changed my mind after I was in the let's say what was that? I was trying to think it was about when I was a senior, junior or senior. Then I decided I'd just stay and stay with baseball as far as that's concerned.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm seeing here some pictures of you. It says dating Pat while she attended UCLA, and I was serving in the Army at Fort Ord.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about this time? Pat was at UCLA. You were in the Army.
No, he was at Cal Poly.
Okay.
You went to Cal Poly for 1 year, honey.
Where?
Your first year of college was at Cal Poly.
Okay.
And that's where we started dating.
Okay.
And I was at UCLA.
Okay.
And then he was there for just 1 year and then was drafted.
I see.
Yeah, I was drafted. That's right.
That was a Korean War.
Yeah, we all got drafted.
So he fought the Battle of Fort Ord.
Wow. I see. Wow. Well, Pat, maybe you could tell us about that time. You were at UCLA, and he was at Cal Poly.
Right.
There's some miles between you there. How did you stay in contact, and how did you get reacquainted after him moving away?
One of my roommate at the sorority was going up to Cal Poly to visit her boyfriend.
Okay.
And I remembered he was going to Cal Poly, and I said, well, I have a friend that's at Cal Poly, but you probably never heard of him. And she said, well, what's his name? And I said, Bruce Wood, and she just laughed, and that was her boyfriend's roommate.
Okay.
So I sent a message up to him, and he sent a message back, and we kept corresponding.
Wow. How was it that you stayed in contact when you had just been, elementary school friends?
Because he was actually friends with my brother, and he would come down and visit once in a while, but unfortunately he would come down and date some of my girlfriends.
Oh, I see. I see.
Irritated me.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I won.
in the end, you were persistent and you visited him in college.
Right.
All right. And when were you married, you two?
Well, it's
We both went to Fresno State together. I was 21, he was 22,
Okay.
and we got married.
Okay.
And we both went to Fresno State.
Okay. So after this time of you being at UCLA and him being at Cal Poly, you both decided to get married, and then after that you went to Fresno State together? Or no?
That's, we knew when we were dating that we were going to get married. So I moved back to Berkeley
Oh.
and planned for the wedding for that year. Then we got married, and I had promised my family that I would finish college.
Okay.
So I signed up at Fresno State
Okay.
and finished there.
Okay. Very nice. And Bruce, while you were at Cal Poly, did you also play baseball there?
Just 1 year.
1 year.
I had to play 1 year because of the just 1 year. I was thinking of another half a year, but it was just 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to get the timetable here.
Mm-hmm.
Where in this, or when in this time were you drafted, and what was that experience like, joining the Army? When did you join the Army, and what was the experience like in the Army for you?
As far as the experience, it was just a draft. I was in Sacramento at the time, and I was drafted out of Sacramento. We were all loaded on a bus, and these were kids I went to school with,
Mm-hmm.
and we were all, at that time. And so then we all went down to unloaded at Fort Ord, and we were stationed there. And it was a good experience. It's a good experience. And I stayed at Fort Ord. I was one of the few that stayed in the what do you call it? It was the what, I can't think of the name of it now.
You ended up being a clerk typist, I think, in the military police thing.
Military police. That's what I was there, and clerk typist.
Okay.
It's kind of station like if you hired or someplace, then they would stick you in the typing or something like that. That's
Yeah,
what it was.
okay.
Yeah, it would be like that.
Nice. Okay. And so, how old were you when you were drafted?
I was about 21.
21.
Yeah.
And so this is after you were married?
No, he was 22
Okay.
when we were married.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So you went to Cal Poly, and then
In the Army.
then you got married, and then Fresno State.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's it.
Very
You want to write that down?
Yeah, it's all right here. Yeah. Okay, so, but when you were at Fresno State, your shoulder gave out, but you finished your degree in agriculture, and you were married. Where did you two move after that, and what did you do?
Well, we stayed down there. Wait a minute. After we were at Fresno,
Yeah.
well, we stayed there until
Till he graduated. Then
he graduated.
Then we moved to Lafayette.
Okay, and that's when you moved to Lafayette. Okay, very nice.
So we've been here since about 1958,
Okay,
59.
1958, 59.
Almost 60 years here.
Wow. Well, okay, so what can you tell me about Lafayette at that time? I know things have changed a lot, but when you two came to Lafayette as a young couple, just graduating college, what was here, first of all? Was it mostly farmland then still, or were there jobs for you? Or did you do farming here? Like, what can you tell me about Lafayette when you moved here?
Lafayette, we came up here to, we didn't actually, we went to.
It was a quiet, beautiful town. Very, very, very quaint. Just the only thing it had a lot of was banks, signs, telephone poles, and gas stations.
Okay.
That's the main part of town.
Yeah.
And how it's progressed since then is we've had good management in the city.
Oh.
And they've done a good job with Lafayette.
building it up and.
Yeah. Get irritated sometimes, but things work out.
All right. So what kind of work did you do, Bruce, when you first moved here?
Went to work for Jacuzzi Whirlpool,
Okay.
selling a Jacuzzi Whirlpool,
All right.
and I stayed with them. How long was it?
Oh, honey, I don't know.
15 years, something like that.
Okay.
That's just kind of a guess.
Yeah.
But then I went to stayed there and left and trying to think where. Can you remember where I?
Oh, I know when we moved in here, it didn't take long before his first phone call was to a newspaper to find out if there's anybody who wanted to start a Little League team. Or no, he started coaching some teams. And then eventually he put an ad in the paper to see if anybody was interested in forming a Little League.
Okay.
They didn't have a Little League in those days, as far as the team is concerned,
Right.
per se. And so then we went from there, and I just went to, let's say, worked for them. And from there I coached with them. And in those days we used to have teams that would be more or less drafted. You know what that is? Drafted?
You would draft the teams?
Yeah.
Kind of a lottery system? Or?
Yeah, draft. I was basically drafting, and we would be our kids. We would be in a classroom. There were maybe six teams. I mean, six managers, potential managers, and then we would vote who we would want.
Gotcha.
Because we used to see a competition that they had to get this team joined up. And it's a little bit like it is now. I don't know. I haven't been out there recently.
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
Just have tryouts and then the coaches.
Yeah, that was the same idea.
Okay.
Yeah. And from there, we just got six teams each, and then we would have these teams, and then we eventually get them together, and then we would have our majors, our minors, things like that. And it was good.
Yeah.
Before he started Little League, though, I think your first team that you coached here was Babe Ruth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then you had Pony, and then there was Colt, and in between that started Little League, and to top it all, started a business at the same time.
Okay.
And that's, I think in '64 he opened his first business.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's grown quite a bit since then.
Mm-hmm.
But we used to have these traveling teams that we used to have, and all-star teams, which they have now, I think. And they have a thing that I think is good is the selection of kids, the way they go about doing it, and it works out pretty good for a lot of the kids. I don't know what the complaints are, in the league itself, but it seems to be all right. I've been up there a couple of times to see how they work, but it's a good program. It's clean. They played that. I was involved in putting those fences up there in the outfield. That was kind of a lot of fun.
Yeah, I read an article about that. Someone had in the newspaper telling this story of how you started the league in 1963, it says?
That's about right,
yeah. So this article goes on to say that, there was no organized Little League. It sounds like there were teams
Yeah.
in the area, the Babe Ruth and the pony and colt teams and these traveling teams.
Yeah,
They
travel.
were older though.
Yeah, those are more like for older
Yeah.
kids. But what made you want to make a little league? What? Yeah. Why
Well,
did you do that?
I think it was. I wanted to have something that would be able to compete with, let's say, the other neighboring cities.
Okay, like Walnut Creek and
Walnut
Orinda.
Creek, yeah.
They already had little leagues.
They had Little League or something else.
Mm.
You know, they were all kind of starting out
Yeah.
at the same time. But we wanted to have something that would compete, you know, against all the other teams. And that was one because we played teams that never had a team together, and there was just no competition, you might say.
Okay.
And these kids that we would play, we would find out how much difference it would make, you know,
Oh.
in the caliber of ball.
So, are you saying the teams from Lafayette, because they didn't have that organized little league, their caliber was lower than the others?
Yeah,
cities?
it was lower. It was
Mhm.
lower, or it was either not as good,
Yeah.
etc. like that. But
Okay.
it's but they came along too, you know, after they started their program,
Yeah.
and some of them maybe had it before, and then we could kind of compete that way.
Okay. Great. So you wanted to organize Lafayette and get these kids some instruction and some experience early on.
That's right.
I
That's
see.
right. Yeah.
Well, that's great. But yeah, it says here in the article that you didn't have a field, you know, you didn't have money or organization, but you just started using volunteers from the community to help you get that field ready, put up the fence and that.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about that time? Other people that were involved with you, or what it was, you know, the process of making that field?
I think it was very good. We used to work on that type of thing. We just select certain ones that wanted to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked out pretty good that way because it gave us a chance to see what they were like, and if we worked together, and also see if it would work out for the league itself, and see if everyone wanted kind of the same thing, which we found out that worked out too, and everyone enjoyed it. We did things after the workouts, things like that. Kids, the guys would get together, maybe go over to a house and have Cokes or something, you know, something like that, and just plain get to know better, you know, more.
Yeah.
Honey, you had some great people that worked with you, like Blaze Matthews
Yeah, there's quite a few
and
kids,
Henry
guys,
Oliveira,
just in
and
these pictures here.
they all came together and really wanted to put it together. So he had no problem with getting volunteers to somebody. In fact, one of the fellows that was the treasurer of Little League, we ended up buying this house from him
Yeah.
when he had to move out of town. And so we've been here for almost 60 years.
Wow. Jeez. In this house right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
No,
Well-
actually about 54 years in this house.
Okay. So who was that person, the treasurer that you speak of?
Oh, jeez. Selby.
Selby, went
Dick
back-
Selby.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh
Steel.
Steel, and he had to move back to the East Coast.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, that's great to hear. So you just you put an ad in the newspaper, asking about starting a little league, and lots of people volunteered their time and got in touch with you and started working with you after that point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so from it sounds like by working together to make the league, you kind of formed a bond with these people.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah. So tell me about that first Little League season here in Lafayette. How many teams did you have?
Well, let's see. It wasn't in there when it was about 6 teams the first year, I think it was. It was about 6,
16.
and then each year we get a few more. You know.
You grow and grow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that field that you played at,
Mm-hmm.
kind of close to St. Mary's, is that right?
No, that was that was for another league.
Okay.
At the same time, we started the one out there for it was in this.
Are you speaking of the existing Little League field?
Well, I was speaking of the one that you guys built in 1963.
That was when we moved here. One of the reasons we moved, we lived on Walnut Lane, and we wanted that because they had this sign up that it was going to be a community center there, and we think what a great place for our kids to play.
Yeah.
It never developed.
Yeah.
And so Bruce went and talked to Jock Van Overveen and discussed about having a Little League field there. And Jock thought it would be a great idea. Bruce thought it was a great idea. The next thing you knew, he had the Seabees out there and they leveled the ground for a playing field. I don't think Jock was too happy with Bruce. But once the field was leveled, well, he had to do something with it.
Really?
Yeah.
So it wasn't entirely approved before it was started to be leveled?
Oh, maybe we shouldn't have put that in there.
No, that's a great story.
No, because it just sat there and sat there and sat there for years.
Yeah. And it was just an empty field?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they just leveled it out and started playing baseball there.
That's great.
But these guys worked so hard putting in fences and getting it ready.
And you said the CBs?
The Seabees came and leveled it.
What's the CBs? Sorry.
It's a part of the Navy that usually Seabees you find going into different areas and leveling out for the airfields or for the camps. They do a lot of the construction work.
Okay.
I guess you'd call them the construction end of the Navy.
And so how did they get involved with...
Somebody knew them.
Huh.
And
We
suggested
met-
it, and they needed a job.
We met him up there
Met them where?
at the field.
Okay.
It's at the present where they have it is at the present Little League field.
Yeah.
That's where it all started.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Then the other field was added on afterwards,
Okay.
and so then they have fields, down further that are for the older kids. So it kind of went on as time went on.
Okay. So it was an empty lot, and it was a community center. That was the plan anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were going to put a community center there, and you went to Jacques, and you said, "Well, how about a baseball field?" And he said, "Yeah, sounds all right," but there was no final approval. And then the CBs got involved. They were friends of yours or friends of another?
Well, we met him. Someone in the organization knew.
Okay.
Knew one, or knew one of the fellows that were in the Navy or something.
Great.
And they were
And that's how
available.
it started.
I think that's a great part of the story because obviously the community center never happened, but Little League has grown from that time
Yeah.
to be really special. Okay, and then so every year after that, you just grew and grew and grew to Little League. So let's talk about you as a coach, as a Little League coach. So that first year, for example, what age group did you coach? How old were the kids that you were
The
coaching?
kids were about, let's see, was it about 12, was it?
No, I think they were.
Younger?
You mean the first group? Were you teaching the older boys at first, or did you start with the younger ones?
I started with the younger at
Yeah,
the beginning.
I think one of the
Just
reasons-
1 year, and then we had more kids come in, and then we took it up again.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons he really wanted Little League, I've heard him say many times, he'd watched some of the kids playing baseball, and he said, well, if we can get them to play Little League, then we'll have a chance. And so he wanted to get them involved. And so he started with the younger kids. And then he and he wanted to coach Little League and teach them the basics.
Basics was the main.
And that he seemed to stress the basics.
That's great. So just the fundamentals of pitch.
Throwing, and, yeah, sliding, catching. You know, it's just a combination thing.
Yeah.
There's so much in baseball, people don't put it to that, but there is. And they have to, you know, they lose interest if they don't learn the young sport, you know, the young things that go on in baseball.
Yeah, the real fundamentals, you say.
Fundamentals, they got to have fundamentals, yeah.
Or else they lose interest.
Yeah.
So you wanted to build them up young.
That's right.
To appreciate the small things in baseball.
Yeah.
How did you go about teaching these kids the fundamentals?
Just by learning it myself and finding fellows that had the experience before they start coaching, and then we'd get them all together and we'd go from there.
So you'd get different teams together and coach them together, or you would is that right? Or you would just teach, you would confer with other coaches and get your experience together?
No, yeah. And I'm more or less, I was involved a lot in getting coaches at the beginning of the program.
Yeah.
And because you could pick out a few, you know, and then all of a sudden you got 2 or 3 or 4, and then you might have 6 teams then. So you start needing some fellas that knew what they're all about, you know.
Yeah.
And it kind of gave us a chance to the program, let's say, gain momentum. You might say they was it? Forgetting a lot of these things. And that was about it. It's just the fundamentals that they might have, and what the coaches might have themselves. Coaches were same thing. They had to get the experience, you know.
Yeah. So these coaches, did they have similar backgrounds to you, playing college ball or anything like that?
A lot of them had college. You know, a lot of them had that, and a lot of them, you know, just played baseball, you know, minor league baseball or some kind of other kind. And the more experience we had, the better it worked out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. So let's talk about your family after that. So around this time, 1963, 1964, when did you start having kids, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. When did you start having kids?
I thought you take
all the time. We had 2 in college, and then after we moved here, we had 3 more.
Okay. So you already had kids by the time you moved to Lafayette.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay. All right. What were their names, or what are their names?
Bruce, Steve, Kathy, let's see, Beth, and let's see what else.
You better not forget Patty.
Oh, and Patty, she's the oldest. She's more outgoing. And then we had.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it that I know of.
Yeah.
Great. And was Lafayette a nice place to raise them?
Right. We moved right down here where the schools were, and then sent them to St. Perpetuous.
Oh, where's that?
Up on the hill here.
Okay.
It's a Catholic school. Okay.
Catholic school.
Okay.
They went there, and then they ended up at Carondelet and De La Salle and Acalanes.
Okay. Gotcha. Did any of your kids play baseball on your teams, or?
Yeah. I had our one that went on, and he played, and then Steve, he played at Acalanes.
Okay.
Bruce played over at De La Salle.
Okay. All right. So, how did the how did the Little League advance? You know, we're into the late '60s and early '70s. Did your role change at that point? Did you keep coaching?
No, basically I left, let's say the Little League, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I went on to, at that time it was, American Legion, which was the older kids. And, this group here. And then there was other groups that were, same time, but had a little more experience. They were from different schools, and then I got together and had teams where just come into our area, and I would coach them.
Oh wow!
And so then finally I got out of it. I got out of it.
Oh yeah, when did you get out of it?
Do you remember?
You mean Little League or?
Yeah, Little League.
Well, American Legion took up a lot of your time, and the business took up a little bit of your time.
Yeah, it took more and more.
So he couldn't do it all.
What was this business? With the Whirlpool Jacuzzi?
No, he started his own business around 1964.
Mm-hmm.
Was it
Okay.
that time? He started California Medical Supply, a retail store. He started it out of our garage.
Wow.
For the first year.
Okay.
And then he ended up in Concord.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then we had quite a couple, about 6 stores that we ended up in.
Wow.
So it just got too much after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started your own business in 1964, and it grew to the point where it was out of your own garage, and it grew to the point where it was 6 stores. Jeez.
Yeah.
How long was that whole process?
About 6 years.
About 6 years?
Yeah.
It was longer than that, honey. And then he just retired when he was 81, about 4 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
But he had weeded them down to just one store where he could handle them.
Okay.
Otherwise than that, then I got sick. And I've been like, well, how long have I been like this now?
This? You mean since you've had your stroke?
Yeah,
Well, you had that in February,
February, yeah.
so it's been almost 4 months.
Okay, so I wasn't aware of your long history with your business. Are there any things you can tell us about what it was like to be a business owner in this area during that time?
It was fine. It was, I didn't spend much of it, but a lot of it was outside the area, But otherwise than that, it was a fine situation. People are good to work with, and there was a lot of growth here in the last X amount of years,
Yeah.
And I expect it to come along that way too. Same thing.
He had stores. His main store was in Concord, and then he had one in Dublin and Fairfield and San Francisco, and I think that was it. 5 stores. Oh, and a warehouse.
Yeah.
So your company kind of grew as this area was growing.
Yeah, went along with that. And it got to a point where it was a little bit too much. It was too much, but I still had my baseball. But no, I got out of baseball, didn't I? Yeah.
Well, you were in, I think, American Legion longer than any of them.
Yeah. Yeah, we had that sometime. That was a good that's when you get the best of the kids.
American Legion?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, because as you grew with your kids, you grew with the kids that are coming up too, and to see them develop. And that was the whole principle. You know, maybe they were Little League, Lafayette Little League, and then they were the next step up, you know, and so you'd get these kids come in. It wouldn't be the same kids that come out of it. It would be just, you know, kids that just wanted to play baseball. Yeah. And that was the whole principle of the thing.
Right. To give them some fundamentals that could
That's right. That's
lead
right.
them to success.
Yeah. And ever since then, I've noticed that going around, et cetera, like that, it's awful lot. The high school's very good. So much better than it used to be. And they have it worked out that way, and it's good, and I hope it maintains that way. But that was the whole principle, to have, and then I find out, because I follow it through, where are these kids playing now?
Yeah.
You know, and they are playing in higher leagues, and they're playing, able to go to other higher competition.
That's great.
And yeah, you notice it in California especially, it really is good baseball. You know, it's come out. I noticed in the last year, it's really come out that way. I mean, the newspaper people would bring it out that they're really playing good baseball.
A lot of kids coming out of California Little Leagues are developing into players.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Did you see any players that you worked with in Little League go on to play professional baseball, or?
Yeah, they did. Not many, because it's tough.
It's real tough.
Yeah, it's real tough. But it's I noticed that, and even a lot of them, which I just was happy to see, is they play good college baseball. Mm-hmm. You know, the junior colleges and different you know, parts of it that way.
Yeah. Do you think you could remember any names of players that have gone on and where they went to college, or I know that's probably might be hard to get specifics.
Matty Keogh was one, wasn't he? Matty Keogh?
No, he didn't. Well, he
played for a little while, did he?
Yeah. I'd have to check because I was going there for a while. Yeah. Probably about 10 years of it. See where they went.
Okay.
But I did see a lot. Well, even the last 4 or 5 years, been very good.
Wow. That's great.
Anyway, they're playing a lot better at Miramonte. You know, a lot stronger. And then, and they have, I see better coaching too in the league. Now it can drop off, but you know it's they're still doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been developing ever since that time.
Yeah. They've got a good leg for themselves. We'll see how long it goes. But
do you have a sense of pride about seeing how advanced local baseball has become?
Yeah, I do. Not entirely myself, but you know, it was just a lot of people who've got in and done some good work, you know.
Yeah.
And it pays off. It pays off, and the interest of the people that are playing now make it more interesting for the coaches too, because they getting some, you know, winning teams, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's well planned. It's well worked now.
Yeah. Well, so beyond the fundamentals of the game, playing the game and throwing and hitting, what kinds of fundamentals in terms of developing a personality or developing character do you think the people who played Little League and coached Little League enjoy? Do you think that baseball has a part in that, in developing people, not just players?
Oh yeah, yeah. They definitely do. They it's a little rough sometimes. You know, some people get too engaged in it, but
Get too competitive, or
yeah, you see that with the arguments and things like that. But you know, that has to be thrown in too. You know, that's part of the thing.
Yeah.
And but it's doing well. I think it's doing real well. And I'll tell you, the fields look real good too.
Mm.
Fields look good. High school.
Very good. Yeah, are there any particular baseball stories that you have from your time doing Little League Lafayette that you can remember? Any particular games or teams that really stand out in your memory today?
Not really. Goes way back. I've had some, but it's too long. It's too long to go to, you know, to get into that. But I think it's. I've had people back into the house here that Homo was one, huh?
Yeah, Rob Omo.
And I mean, numerous kids come in, even just to fix the house.
Huh.
And now they're in business themselves, and so it works out that way too. And
He was going to have an 85th birthday party celebration, and the kids had gotten a hold of a number of his old ball players, and they were all going to come, and then he had the stroke, and they had to cancel it.
Oh, wow.
So, but it's fun seeing some of his old ball players, because I love to hear them when they say, "Hi, coach."
Yeah.
So he's still coach.
yeah,
Even though they're now,
Yeah.
they have families and businesses.
Well, one of his ball players was a judge up in Reno, and he just retired.
Wow.
He came down to visit him about 6 months ago.
yeah, they all, you know, one way or the other, they come around, and it's and I run into them, and they run into me, and it's well worth it, you know, for the time that you spend in it.
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's a shame to hear about the party getting canceled.
Yeah, he would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, I'm sure. Maybe some of those players can hear the interview or see some of these pictures. But
Yeah. I hope they do. I hope they do. Maybe we can get another party going. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not forever.
And they bring in a lot of, you know, old hands, you know, that been in, and they still, it's surprising how the kids really enjoy each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, about the old times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, they still do. And they say, if you see him, so and so, let them know. You know, I'm still around.
Yeah.
You know, something.
Well, you saw quite a few of them at Vic's memorial.
Yeah.
A lot of the ball players were there. This was Vic Baskersian, who coached with him for a while in American Legion.
Okay.
Yeah, he worked with me too. Well, not so much in the Little League, but in other leagues, and he got a good taste of it, and but otherwise than that, I can't say anything else that would bring it out. I'm glad I've done it, and I'm glad it was, you know, fun at the time. Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks very much. It's been a great help. You know, you're supporting Lafayette and baseball and all the people that.
Where'd you get the name? Was the name up there on the where is it?
Which
I think
name?
Patty had talked to them down at his.
Yeah, your daughter Patty came in to the historical
Oh,
society.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. She told me. Yeah,
Yeah.
she told me. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she saw us.
Yeah, so we're real grateful that she
Yeah, yeah.
went and did that too.
How do you work there?
I just started volunteering there pretty recently.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Anything like that's needed, you know.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the time you guys have taken to come and talk, to let me come in and talk to me, and talk to for the Lafayette Historical Society.
Okay.
So this will be up. I don't know how soon, but this will be up on the internet, and
Where do you get it on the internet? I've never.
so it's just under Lafayette Historical Society.
Oh, okay.
.org, and yeah, you'll see. There's already some interviews up there.
Oh, good. I'll look at some of them.
Yeah, different people.
Okay.
So
Yeah, good.
Thank you for taking the time.
no problem. No
Yeah.
problem.
And thank you for the scones.
Oh no.
I left the dish up there. I put these.
Oh,
in the
great.
dish here.
Okay. Yeah, I hope you like them.